Hello and welcome to The Big Story, where we discuss the top news of today and explain why it matters. I'm Kimberly Zhao, coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom. We begin with how Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat sees the challenges ahead in the world and how Singapore can navigate through it. Mr. Heng was speaking at the annual Straits Times Global Outlook Forum and said, as the world builds walls, Singapore must go against the tide and build bridges.
The free, open and rule-based international order is under stress. If countries wall up, or if there's a new Iron Curtain, the cost to Singapore will be significant.
Mr. Heng reiterated the government's commitment to invest in Singaporeans and strengthen social safety nets for those who are unable to keep pace with change.
And our commitment to our people is that even as we create new opportunities, no one will be left behind, no one will be shut out.
With us today, we have ST's US Bureau Chief, Nirmal Ghosh, who was at this morning's forum. Thanks for coming down all the way to join us. I know it's been a busy day.
Thank you.
So for as a tiny country, right, what did DPM say, Singapore can do if big countries like the US, like China, start pushing their weight around?
Yeah, well, basically he talked a lot about the fraying social compact in many places around the globe, and he talked about how Singapore must have preserve its unity, must not allow this kind of polarization to happen internally. And he emphasized that diversity is strength. And in terms of multilateralism and building bridges, he emphasized multilateralism because that gives small countries like Singapore a place at the table. And building bridges, was set against the what's happening around the world, where people are, some nations are getting increasingly protectionist, and that of course includes the United States. This has been a consistent message of Singapore leaders and others as well in the region, because they are caught in the cross currents of the US-China trade war, right? And trade is the lifeblood of Singapore. So Singapore just cannot afford to have walls around it or to build its own walls. That was the essence of his message.
I see. Well, if we may pivot a little bit, right? At the forum today, the panelists also spoke about the Hong Kong protests,
right,
which is a hot topic recently. And actually, you actually conducted a special panel discussion of your own under the Asian Insider series, right? So what are your thoughts after listening to what the panelists had to say today?
Well, one thing we have to watch is this Sunday. This Sunday are district elections in Hong Kong. Now, there's something like 18 districts and 452 seats. District council seats. Now, these are the lowest levels in Hong Kong, but they have seen a record number of voter registrations. Something like 4.1 million people have actually registered to vote, which is a record.
Wow.
And over 1,000 people actually running for those seats. Now, this is seen, given the context of the last few months of protests, this is seen as a proxy vote, a referendum, if you will, on the issues that have been protesting about, and on Carrie Lam, Chief Executive, right? So these are being watched very closely, and the atmosphere is somewhat charged because of this. And we will get to know the results sometime on Monday, probably around midday on Monday. We'll get to know the trends. Thus far, pro-Beijing parties have actually held most of these seats. Now, if that changes, that's going to be quite a fundamental shift, shall we say, in Hong Kong. If that doesn't change, then there are also bound to be accusations. There are already accusations of interference, of intimidation, and so on and so forth, given the incidents that have taken place. So that is the next sort of benchmark this Sunday.
I see. Well, thanks so much for coming down and sharing your insights with us. And if you'd like to catch Nirmal's panel discussion on the Asian Insider this morning, simply search for the Straits Times Asian Insider on YouTube or Spotify.